Welcome to KC Production, your home for premium African storytelling and entertainment. Before we continue, please like, share, and subscribe to KCA Production for more amazing content. Today, we tell a story called Good Lies. The first rays of the sun stretch across the rolling green hills surrounding the ancient village of Omagu. Thick palm trees sway gently in the cool morning breeze, while birds sing from their nest. Thin streams of smoke rise from mud houses with thatched roofs as women prepare breakfast over firewood stoves. Children chase one another along dusty footpaths, laughing as they run barefoot through the village square. Farmers carry hoes across their shoulders on their way to the farms, greeting neighbors with warm smiles. A large Iroko tree stands proudly in the center of the village, its wide branches providing shade for elders who gather every morning to discuss village affairs. The village feels peaceful. Yet, beneath the calm lies a growing fear. Every village has its stories. Some speak of bravery, others speak of greed. But Tumaogu would one day remember the story of a woman whose kindness became both a blessing and a burden. This is the story of Ada and the good lies that changed everything. Ada, a graceful young woman in her mid-twenties, sweeps the compound with a handmade broom. She hums softly as she works, occasionally stopping to greet neighbors passing by. Her widowed mother, Mama Ngozi, emerges from the kitchen carrying a clay pot. Ada, you've been awake since before sunrise. You wear yourself out. Ada laughs. Someone has to keep this compound beautiful, Mama. Mama Ngozi shakes her head affectionately. One day your kindness will bring blessing to this family. Ada smiles modestly. Or more work, Ada adds, and both women laugh. Just then, a little boy of about 8 years old runs into the compound, breathing heavily. It's Chike, Chike, Sister Ada, Sister Ada. Ada kneels beside him. Easy, Chike, what happened? The boy struggles to catch his breath. Grandma and Kim is crying again. The chief came back. Ada and Chike hurried towards the edge of the village where an elderly widow, Grandma and Kem, lives alone in a small mud hut surrounded by a modest cassava farm. Outside the hut stands Chief Oduma, tall, richly dressed, confident. Behind him stand 4 palace guards carrying long staffs. Grandma and Kem kneels before him with tears streaming down her face. Please, this land belonged to my husband. It is all I have left. Chief Oduma folds his arms. His expression is cold. Your husband owed this village. Debts must be paid. And since he's gone, the land belongs elsewhere. Grandma Kem shakes her head desperately. He cleared this land with his own hands. Please have mercy. Chief Oduma turns away. Mercy does not build villages. Wealth does. The guards began marking the edges of her farmland with wooden sticks. Ada steps forward. Chief Oduma, the chief slowly turns, his eyes narrow. Ada, have you come to interfere? I've come to ask for compassion. She's an old woman. Where would she go? Chief Oduma laughs quietly. Compassion doesn't fill the village treasury. Ada remains calm. Then give her more time. Chief Oduma shakes his head. 3 days. After that, this land belongs to me. He walks away with his guards. The villagers who had gathered whisper among themselves. No one dare challenge him openly. Later, Grandma and Kem sit on a wooden stool crying quietly. Ada hands her a calabash of water. I've done nothing wrong. Why is this happening? Ada places a comforting hand on her shoulder. We'll find a way, Mama. Grandma and Kem sighs. Sometimes good people lose. Ada looks towards the distant hills. Determination fills her eyes. Not this time, she says. The marketplace buzzes with activity. Women bargain loudly over vegetables and spices. Blacksmiths hammer glowing metal while traders call out to passing customers. Yet today's conversations all revolve around one topic. Grandma and Kem. 2 traders whisper. The chief wants every piece of land near the river. Soon, no poor family will own anything. Nearby, an elderly man overhears them. Greed grows faster than yam vines. The traders nod silently. Across the market, Chief Oduma walks confidently through the crowd. Everyone bows, no one smiles. The village elders gather beneath the ancient tree in the evening. Ada approaches respectfully and she bows. Fathers, can nothing more be done? The oldest elder sighs deeply. The chief follows village law. His methods are harsh, but not unlawful. Ada looks disappointed. Then the law has forgotten kindness. The others exchange uneasy glances. One of them lowers his voice. Sometimes justice and mercy walk different roads. Ada thanks them and leaves. The orange glow of sunset reflects across the calm water. Ada sits alone on a large rock. She watches the current flow quietly. Children laugh in the distance. Birds fly overhead towards their nests. Her childhood friend Emeka approaches carrying a fishing net. You've been here a long time. Ada sighs. I'm thinking. About Grandma and Kem. She nods. Everyone knows what's right. Yet no one can stop it. Emeka sits beside her. Some battles can't be won. Ada shakes her head. Every problem has an answer. Every challenge has a solution, even if it isn't obvious. Emeka studies her face. He recognizes that determined look. Ada, whatever you are planning, be careful. She smiles faintly. I only want to save an innocent woman, nothing more. A gentle breeze rustles the trees. Meanwhile, in Chivoduman's compound, Chivoduma sits in his spacious courtyard counting bags of cowries and examining documents related to village lands. One of his guards approaches. My chief, Ada spoke against your decision today. Chivoduma chuckles. She has a kind heart, that's all. Kind hearts often make foolish choices. He places another bag of cowries beside the others. In 3 days, that land will be mine. Outside, thunder rumbles softly in the distance. The wind picks up. The oil lamps flicker. Ada lies awake on a woven mat, staring at the roof. Her mother's gentle snoring fills the room. She closes her eyes, then suddenly, she sits upright. An idea flashes across her mind, a dangerous one. She whispers to herself, what if the truth cannot save her, but a lie can? She falls silent. The weight of the thoughts hangs heavily in the darkness. A mixture of hope, fear, and uncertainty fills the air. At dawn, the morning sun peeks over the hills as roosters crow across Umagu. Ada has barely slept. She sits outside her family hut, staring at the dusty path leading to the village square. Her mother, Mama Ngozi, notices the worry on her face. Ada, you were awake most of the night. Whatever is troubling you, do not carry it alone. Ada forces a smile. I'm only trying to find a way to help someone who has no one else to help. Mama Ngozi gently places a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Help people with wisdom, my daughter. Good intentions without wisdom can become very dangerous. Ada nods thoughtfully, though her mind is already fixed on her plan. Grandma and Kem sit outside peeling cassava. She looks exhausted after another sleepless night. Ada approaches. Have they come already? Grandma and Kem asks. Ada says, not yet. She kneels beside the old woman. Ada, I have an idea, but I need you to trust me. Grandma and Kem looks uncertain. What kind of idea? Ada hesitates. When the chief comes, don't argue with him. Let me do the talking. The old woman touches Ada's face. Will it save this land? Ada takes a deep breath. I pray it will. Though she speaks confidently, her eyes reveal the burden of what she is about to do. Chivoduma marches towards Grandma and Kem's land with scars. Several villagers follow at a distance, curious to see what will happen. It was the 3rd day since the chief's threat. Children stop playing, women pause their trading, everyone just watches. The chief reaches the farm and points towards the wooden boundary stakes. Remove the old woman from this land. Before the guards can move, Ada steps forward. She bows respectfully. My chief, I beg you to wait. Chief Oduma frowns. Again? Ada keeps her composure. Last night, I retrieved important news from travelers who arrived after sunset. The villagers exchanged curious glances. What news? Ada lowers her voice just enough to create suspense. They said royal inspectors from the kingdom will arrive in Omoagu within days. The chief's expression changes. Royal inspectors? Ada nods confidently. They are investigating complaints from nearby villages about leaders accused of taking land from widows and the poor. A murmur spreads through the crowd. The guards glance at one another. Chief Odoma folds his arms. Who told you this? Ada answers without hesitation. The travelers spend the night at the eastern stream before continuing their journey. They want anyone willing to listen. The chief grows thoughtful. Although powerful in Umogu, he knows the kingdom's authority is greater than his own. One of the guards quietly steps towards the chief. My chief, perhaps we should wait. If the rumor is true, Chief Odoma silences him with a glare. He studies Ada carefully. If you are lying, you answer for it. Ada bows. I only repeat what I heard. The chief looks around at the watching villagers. He knows that if inspectors truly arrive while he is taking land from an elderly widow, his reputation could suffer greatly. After a long silence, Chief Odoma said, Very well. The land remains untouched. For now. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Grandma Nkem covers her mouth in disbelief. News spreads through Umagu faster than wildfire. Groups gathered beneath trees, discussing what happened. Did you hear? The chief walked away. Another woman. No one has ever made him change his mind before. Nearby, young men laugh in amazement. Ada must know powerful people. Another villager whispers. Or perhaps heaven truly speaks through her. Ada overhears the conversations. Instead of feeling proud, she grows uneasy. She knows the praise is built on something that isn't true. Grandma Nkem embraces Ada tightly. Tears stream down her withered cheeks. You saved me. May God bless you for the rest of your life. Ada hugs her back but cannot return the smile fully. Ada, let's just be thankful your home is. Let's just be thankful your home is safe. The old woman notices Ada's troubled expression. What's wrong? Ada looks away. Nothing. But inside, she silently wonders if she has done the right thing. In the evening of the same day, Emeka repairs his fishing nets when Ada arrives. He immediately notices something weighing on her mind. It worked, didn't it? Ada nods. The chief left. Emeka smiles. Then why do you look like someone who has lost instead of won? Ada skips a stone across the river. It bounces twice before sinking. Because I lied. Emeka looks at her in surprise. She tells him everything. The fake inspectors, the imaginary travelers, the rumor she invented. When she finishes, Emeka remains silent for several moments. Finally, he speaks. You lied to save a helpless woman. Ada sighs. Does the reason make it right? Emeka cannot answer. Chief Oduma paces across his courtyard at night. Something bothers him. He calls one of his fastest messengers. Travel to the eastern road. Find these so-called travelers. Ask every village along the way. If inspectors are coming, I want to know before anyone else. Yes, my chief. The messenger hurries into the night. Chief Oduma watches him disappear. His suspicion grows. Meanwhile, Ada at her house kneels beside her sleeping mat, praying softly. Father in heaven, if I have done wrong, forgive me. I only wanted to protect someone who couldn't protect herself. Show me the right path. A sudden gust of wind blows through the doorway, extinguishing the oil lamp. Darkness fills the room. Ada slowly opens her eyes. Outside, footsteps echo in the distance. Someone is approaching her compound. She cannot see who it is. The footsteps step just outside her door. The village is the village is still wrapped in darkness. Crickets chirp while a cool breeze rustles the leaves. Ada sits awake after hearing the mysterious footsteps outside her hut the previous night. A soft knock breaks the silence. Who is there? A trembling voice answers. It is me, Ifeoma. Ada opens the wooden door. Standing outside is Ifeoma, a young married woman with tears in her eyes. Her wrapper is dusty, and she looks like she has been walking for hours. Ifeoma, what happened? Ifeoma wipes her face. My husband has sent me away. He believes I stole the money he kept for buying seeds. I swear I did not take it. Ada invites her inside. Mama Ngozi quietly prepares hot herbal tea while Ifeoma explains. My husband searched the whole house. The money disappeared. And now he says he can never trust me again. Mama Ngozi sighs. A home built on suspicion soon begins to crumble. Ifeoma turns to Ada. Everyone says you helped Grandma and Kem when no one else could. Please help me too. Ada lowers her eyes. The memory of her lie to Chief Oduma returns. She had promised herself it would happen only once. Yet, another desperate person now sits before her. Ada walks with Ifeoma to her home. Villagers whisper as they pass. There goes Ada, someone whispers. She's the one who stood up to the chief, another one whispers. Maybe she'll solve this matter too. Another whispers. The whispers make Ada uncomfortable. She doesn't want to become someone people depend on for impossible solutions. Inside Ifeoma's home, Ifeoma's husband Obi is pacing angrily. The moment he sees Ada, he folds his arms. Have you come to defend a thief? Ada remains calm. I've come to understand what happened. Obi points towards an empty wooden box. The money was here yesterday. Only my wife knew where I kept it. Now it's gone. Who else should I suspect? Ifeoma begins to cry. I have never stolen from you. Ada noticed something unusual. The box has small bite marks along one corner. She kneels to inspect the floor. Tiny grains of dried corn are scattered nearby. Her eyes drift to a hole in the wall. She smiles slightly. May I see your storage room? Inside the storage room, Ada goes in. Ada paces, noticing what's inside. The room is filled with baskets of yam, maize, and beans. Ada notices a thread of chewed palm leaves leading towards another hole. She follows it. Moments later, she reaches into a pile of dried husk. Her hand pulls out a small cloth pouch. Obi gasps. It is the missing money. Beside it scurries a frightened rat. The villagers burst into laughter. It seems your smallest neighbor borrowed the money before your wife ever could. Obi looks ashamed. He turns to Ifeoma. Forgive me. I judged you before seeking the truth. Ifeoma embraces him, tears of relief filling her eyes. The gathered villagers clap and cheer. One elderly woman smiles proudly. Ada doesn't need magic, the woman says. She simply opens her eyes. What spreads again? This time, it's not a lie that solves the problem, but Ada's careful observation. Villagers begin lining up to ask for her advice. One farmer complains about a boundary dispute. A mother asks for help with her stubborn son. Two brothers seek her opinion over an inheritance. Ada tries to refuse. I am not an elder, I am only an ordinary woman. But the villagers insist. To them, Ada has become a symbol of wisdom. The village elders watch the growing crowd around Ada. One elder strokes his grey beard thoughtfully. People now seek her before they seek us. Another elder smiles. Perhaps the village has found another voice. A third elder looks worried. Or perhaps they are placing too much hope in one person. Their conversation is interrupted as Chief Oduma walks by. He notices the crowd surrounding Ada. His face hardens. He says nothing, but the jealousy in his eyes is unmistakable. The messenger returns from his journey. He kneels before the chief. I searched every village along the eastern road. No traveler spoke of royal inspectors. No officials are expected. Silence fills the courtyard. Chief Oduma slowly rises. His fists tighten. So, Ada deceived me. The guards exchange nervous glances. The chief's voice becomes cold. She embarrassed me before the entire village. No one does that without consequences. Grandma and Kem watches her small garden while Ada helps her gather vegetables. The old woman smiles warmly. The harvest looks better already. Ada smiles. Perhaps hope helps crops grow. Suddenly, Chike comes running as fast as he can. He's out of breath. Ada! Ada! The chief is coming here. Ada freezes. In the distance, dust rises along the village road. Chief Oduma approaches with 4 guards. His expression is darker than anyone here has ever seen. Villagers peek from behind fences and doorways. No one dares step forward. Chief Oduma stops a few feet away from Ada. Chief Oduma stops a few feet from Ada. He looks directly into her eyes. I know the truth. A heavy silence falls. Grandma and Kem grips Ada's hand. The chief takes one slow step closer. Now tell me, should I punish a liar or admire her courage? The air is still. Even the birds seem to have stopped singing. Chief Oduma stands before Ada, flanked by 4 guards. Villagers peek from behind fences and trees, afraid to come closer. Ada meets the chief's gaze without lowering her eyes, though her heart pounds in her chest. Grandma and Kem clutches Ada's hand tightly. Please, my chief. If anyone deserves punishment, let it be me. She was only trying to help, Grandma and Kem says. Chief Oduma raises a hand, silencing her. He circles Ada slowly. You are brave, or very foolish. Ada answers quietly. Perhaps a little bit of both. The chief stops in front of her. There were no royal inspectors, no travelers, no warning. You invented the entire story. You cooked up a lie. Ada nods. Yes. The villagers gasp. Some cover their mouths in disbelief. Others whisper prayers. Chief Oduma steps closer. His guards grip their staffs, expecting an order. Instead, the chief surprises everyone. He begins to laugh. The laughter is calm, but unsettling. You lied, and you made me believe you. He turns to the villagers. Tell me, how many people in this village have ever done that? No one answers. The silence speaks for itself. Chief Oduma faces Ada again. Come to my compound tomorrow morning, alone. If you fail to come, I will take Grandma and Kem's land before sunset. Without another word, he turns and walks away. His guards follow. The villagers remain frozen until he disappears down the path. The crowd slowly gathers around Ada. Everyone speaks at once. Don't go, it's a trap. Run away before morning, another villager said. Grandma and Kem shakes her head. No, running will only make things worse. Mecca arrives after hearing the news. He gently leads Ada away from the crowd. At the river bank, at night, the moon reflects on the quiet river. Ada and Emeka sit on a fallen tree. For a long moment, neither speaks. Finally, you know he isn't inviting you for a friendly conversation, says Emeka. Ada nods. I know. Then don't go. Ada sighs deeply. If I don't, Grandma and Kem loses everything. Emeka throws a pebble into the river. The ripples spread across the water. Every lie leaves ripples, even when it begins with kindness. Ada watches the circles fade. She whispers, I only wanted to save one person. Now, I don't know how many people I'm putting in danger. In Ada's hut at night, Mama Ngozi listens carefully as Ada explains everything. The room falls silent. The old woman walks to a small wooden shelf and picks up an old family carving. She places it in Ada's hands. Your father once told me something I'll never forget. When fear tells you to hide the truth, remember that truth often walks the longest road, but it reaches the safest home. Ada studies the carving. Should I tell the chief everything? Mama Ngozi smiles sadly. Only you can decide, but every decision has a price. The next morning, in the chief's compound, Chief Odoma sits in an elaborately carved chair as Ada enters. The guards close the large wooden gate behind her. She realizes she is completely alone. Chief Odoma gestures towards the stool. Sit, he commands. She remains standing. I'll stand. The chief smiles, still fearless. Good. I like fearless people. He walks slowly around the courtyard. You embarrassed me before this entire village. You should be punished. But punishment benefits only my pride. I prefer something useful. Ada frowns. What do you want? The chief stops and looks directly at her. Work for me. Ada is stunned. Work for you? The villagers trust you, Chief Odoma says. You believe every word you say. That makes you more valuable than gold. Ada immediately understands. He wants to use her reputation. You want me to deceive people? No, I want you to persuade them. There's a difference. Ada shakes her head. There isn't. The chief's smile fades. The chief's smile fades. Think carefully, he says. If you refuse, Grandma Nkem's land is mine. If you accept, she keeps her home. The courtyard grows painfully quiet. Ada closes her eyes. She realizes that the lie she told has become a chain around her neck. The villagers notice Ada entering the chief's compound. Rumors spread immediately. Why would the chief summon her privately? Maybe she's finally being punished, one woman said. Or maybe they've reached an agreement, another woman said. The whispers began growing louder. Seeds of suspicion were being planted. Meanwhile, at Chief Oduma's compound, Ada takes a slow breath. If I agree, you leave Grandma Nkem alone forever. Chief Oduma nods. Forever? Ada studies him. She knows she cannot trust him, but she also knows she has little choice. Before she can answer, a guard rushes into the courtyard. Breathing heavily. My chief, there has been trouble near the western farms. 2 families are fighting over the boundary land. 1 man has already been injured. Chief Oduma turns sharply. The guard continues. The villagers are asking for Ada. They say only she can stop the fight. Chief Oduma slowly smiles. He looks back at Ada. It seems your reputation has become stronger than mine. Now, let us see what you do with it. At the farmland, the peaceful land had turned into chaos. Men and women crowd around 2 neighboring farms, shouting over one another. Dust rises into the air as people push and argue. At the center of the dispute stand Akoro and Maduka, lifelong friends whose farms share a boundary. Today, they glare at each other like enemies. Maduka's arm is wrapped in cloth, stained with blood from a cut received during the scuffle. Children cling to their mothers, frightened by the shouting. Chief Oduma arrives with his guard followed by Ada. The crowd immediately notices her. Voices ring out from every direction. Ada is here. She will settle it. Let Ada speak. Chief Oduma watches quietly. He wants to see whether the villagers' faith in Ada will strengthen or destroy her. At the center of the crowd, Ada raises both hands. Slowly, the shouting dies down. No one will be heard if everyone speaks at once. Okoro steps forward angrily. My father planted the Iroko marker that stood between our lands. Last night, someone removed it. Maduka shakes his head. He's lying. The marker was always further west. He wants to steal part of my cassava field. The 2 men begin shouting again. Ada studies the ground carefully. She notices footprints, disturbed soil, and a freshly dug hole where the old boundary marker once stood. She turns to the crowd. Who saw the boundary last before sunrise? An elderly shepherd raises his hand. I passed here before dawn. The marker was already missing. Ada nods. Someone removed it during the night. Rather than judging the matter in a rush, Ada walks the length of both farms. She examines the old tree roots, worn footpaths, and ancient stories partly buried beneath the soil. An ancient stone is partly buried beneath the soil. Then she noticed something interesting. A faded carving on a large rock. She brushes away the dates with her hands. The carving marks the original village boundary established many years ago. She smiles. The land has been telling the truth all along. The villagers gather around. The others confirm the carving belongs to the original survey made decades earlier. The true boundary is revealed. Neither Okoro nor Maduka had been correct. Both had unknowingly allowed their farms to drift over the years. At that turns to the two men. You were ready to become enemies over land that belongs to neither of you alone. Your friendship is worth more than a few steps of soil. The men lower their heads. Okoro speaks first. Brother, forgive me. Maduka embraces him. We almost destroyed years of friendship. The crowd applauds. Chief Oduma watches silently. Outwardly, he smiles. Inside, he grows increasingly uneasy. Every problem Ada solves makes her more respected than he is. Under the Iroko tree, the others praise Ada before the villagers. Wisdom is not loud, it listens before it speaks. Today, Ada reminded us of that. The crowd cheers. Kivodoma forces a smile, his pride is wounded. The chief sits with his advisor, Naji, an older, sharp-minded man. The people now seek Ada before they seek their chief, said Naji. That is dangerous. Chivodoma drums his fingers on the arm of his chair. Respect can change quickly. All it takes is one mistake. Naji leans closer. Then make sure she makes one. The chief's eye narrows. A slow smile spreads across his face. An idea begins to form. As the sun begins to set, Ada walks through the market. Instead of asking for help, people now greet her with admiration. An elderly woman offers her roasted corn. A child gives her wildflowers. A farmer thanks her for saving two families from years of conflict. Ada accepts her kindness politely, but inside she feels uneasy. She whispers to herself, "They believe I always know the answer. But what happens the day I don't?" Emeka catches up with her. "You're troubled again," Ada nods. "The more people trust me, the more afraid I become of disappointing them." Emeka smiles gently. "You're human, Ada. Don't let people turn you into something you're not." In Chivoduma's compound at night, Chief meets secretly with his advisor Naji. A road map lies open on a wooden table. Naji points to the border between Umago and the neighboring village of Obinze. For years, both villages have argued over the palm grove near the stream. Chivoduma nods. Yes, but the others always prevented violence. Naji smiles cunningly. What if Ada became involved? The chief looks intrigued. If she gives advice that other villages dislikes, the blame will fall on her, not on you, says Naji. Chivodoma slowly rises. He understands the trap. The disputes between two villages cannot be solved as easily as the disagreements between neighbors. One wrong word could destroy Ada's reputation forever. Ada sits outside beneath the stars at night. She remembers her mother's words. Truth often walks the longest road, but it reaches the safest home. She wonders whether she could finally confess the lie about the very inspectors before it causes more harm. Before she can decide, hurried footsteps approach. A young messenger bows before her. Ada, the elders request your presence at sunrise. Representatives from Obinze village have arrived. The dispute over the palm grove has become serious. If peace cannot be reached tomorrow, both villages are preparing for war. The messenger leaves. Ada stares into the darkness. Her breathing becomes shallow. She realizes this is unlike anything she has faced before. The fate of two villages may rest on her words. In the distance, hidden behind the tree, Chivoduma watches her quietly. A satisfied smile crosses his face. His trap has been set. As the sun rose over Omagu, an unusual silence covered the village. The streets that were once filled with cheerful voices had become quiet. As everyone gathered beneath the great Iroko tree, the long-standing dispute between Umagu and the neighboring village of Obinze had reached a breaking point. At the center of the gathering stood Ada, the woman the people had come to trust, while Chief Oduma watched closely, believing this would finally be the moment her reputation would collapse. The disagreement centered on an ancient palm grove. Both villages claimed ownership, each insisting that history was on their side. Tempers flared as elders argued and young men gripped their farming tools, ready to fight if peace failed. Fear spread through the crowd, and the possibility of war became frighteningly real. Refusing to rush into a decision, Ada urged everyone to seek the truth instead of allowing anger to guide them. She carefully questioned the elders, searched for evidence, and listened to stories that had been passed down through generations. But as the hours went by, she discovered that there was no clear proof. The truth had been buried beneath years of assumptions and forgotten history. Seeing her struggle, Chief Oduma quietly approached Ada and encouraged her to do what had worked before. He reminded her that the villagers believed every word she spoke, and suggested she simply invent another story to settle the matter. For a brief moment, Ada considered it. One more lie might stop the violence and preserve the peace. But then she remembered the lesson her mother had always taught her. Truth may take the longest route, but it always leads to the safest destination. With courage, Ada stepped before the entire village and confessed the secret she had carried for so long. She admitted that months earlier she had lied about royal inspectors coming to investigate Chief Oduma. The lie had been created only to protect Grandma Nkem from losing her land. Shock spread through the crowd as the villagers struggled to accept what they had heard. Some questioned everything they had ever believed about Ada. Patiently, Ada accepted their doubts. She explained that while the first lie had been born out of compassion, it had also taught her a painful lesson. A lie, even when told for good reason, casts a shadow over every truth that follows it. She declared that she would never build peace on another lie, and admitted that she simply did not know who truly owned the disputed land. Her honesty changed everything. Instead of deepening the conflict, it inspired the others from both villages to see the problem differently. Rather than fighting over ownership, they began discussing the possibility of sharing the palm grove so that both communities could benefit together. Hope slowly replaced anger. Chief Uduma watched helplessly as his carefully planned trap failed. Furious, he reminded everyone that Ada had confessed to lying and asked why anyone should still trust her. Before the crowd could respond, Grandma Nkem stepped forward. Leaning on her walking stick, she reminded everyone that Ada's lie had been told to protect someone who had no voice. Then she turned to Chief Oduma and asked a question that silenced the entire village. Had he never done anything wrong for his own personal gain? For the first time in years, the powerful chief had no answer. As silence settled over the square, Chief Oduma realized people were no longer ruled by fear. They wanted truth. An unexpected witness then stepped forward. The messenger who had once searched for the imaginary royal inspector explained that during his travels, he had met many widows in other villages who had suffered the same injustice Grandma Nkem nearly faced. Ada's lie had been wrong, but it had exposed an even greater problem that many leaders had ignored. Ada addressed the people once again. She accepted full responsibility for her actions and declared that if punishment was necessary, she would willingly accept it. She urged the younger generation never to follow her example of lying, but instead to have the courage to speak the truth, even when it seemed difficult. Emeka also spoke, reminding the villagers that they had placed too much responsibility on Ada. Instead of solving their own disagreement, everyone had expected one person to carry the weight of the entire village. His words made the people realize that they too had shared responsibility for what had happened. After a careful discussion, the village elders reached a decision. Ada would not be imprisoned or banished. Instead, she would spend the next planting season leading the youth in restoring neglected farms belonging to widows and the elderly. Her compassion would continue to serve the community, but this time through honest work instead of deception. Ada accepted the judgment with humility. The others then turned to Chief Oduma, asking whether he was willing to accept responsibility for his own actions. Standing alone, abandoned by even his own adviser, the proud chief finally admitted that the greed had blinded him. He confessed that his desire for more land had made him weaker instead of stronger. In front of the entire village, he returned Grandma Nkem's land, promised never to threaten it again, and sincerely asked for her forgiveness. With grace, Grandma forgave him, reminding everyone that forgiveness is the first seed of lasting peace. The representatives from Obinze and Umagu then agreed to share the disputed palm grove equally. From that day forward, both villages would care for it together and celebrate every harvest as one united people. The fear of war disappeared, replaced by laughter, friendship, and renewed unity. 6 months later, Umagu had been transformed. The once neglected farms flourished with healthy crops, widows received help from the village youth, and peace filled the community once more. The people of Obinze and Umagu celebrated together during their first festival of unity, proving that cooperation had achieved what conflict never could. Jivoduma had changed as well, no longer driven by pride. He lived humbly among the people and found greater peace in serving others than in owning more land. During the celebration, the others honored Ada, not because she had once told a lie, but because she had confessed her mistake, accepted responsibility, and worked tirelessly to repair the harm it had caused. They presented her with a carved staff as a symbol of service, integrity, and growth. Later that evening, Ada and Emeka stood beside the same river where her difficult journey had begun. When Emeka asked whether she would tell the same lie again if given another chance, Ada reflected carefully. She replied that she would still protect Grandma Nkem, but she would search much longer for a truthful solution. She had learned that shortcuts might solve today's problem, but often create tomorrow's pain. People may remember the lie that began the journey, but they will always remember the truth that brought healing. Kindness is a precious gift, but without honesty, you can lose its way. A lie may rescue today, but only truth has the power to build a better tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to KTA Production for more inspiring African folktales and original content.